Howdy folks, LP Guru here signing in for Let's Play Final Fantasy 1 Episode 26. As always, we're going to be picking up right where the previous episode ended. This is it, everybody. The beginning of the end. Or, as the Part 4 trailer phrased it, the end begins. I'm not exactly sure just how many episodes will be in this final segment. I'm having to get to the dwarves really quick, but this is it, the beginning of the end. The last few episodes of this project are now right here at us. So, first things first. This episode's picking up where the previous one ended. We got a little bit more business to tend to, the very first of which is to take the adamantite, bring it to the dwarves, so that this can be created. And with no hesitation, you should equip Excalibur, which is hands down the strongest weapon in the game. And yes, finding the metal needed to forge Excalibur was completely optional. It's not a requirement to beat this game, but you would be sorely remiss if you did not, because it is hands down the knight's greatest weapon. So, in this episode, don't need to go to the weapon shop, it's the armor shop I'm after. But in this episode, we're going to be picking up all of the loose pieces, tying up any loose ends, and taking care of any and all remaining final preparations. And it's not here. It is not here. It's Melmond, I believe, that has the knight's armor, not Elfheim. Though you would think it would be here in Elfheim, since the elves are, well, aside from the dwarves, the elves are master craftsmen. Alright, let's see. Where is the weapon shop? Here we go. But at this point in the game, it is a downgrade. But I wonder about. Okay, let's see. Alright, defensive 34. So let's double check and see. Yeah, that would be a huge downgrade. So, the knight's armor It's kind of a misleading title to give it. It's very effective when you are at that point in the game of taking on the Terror Cavern and everything else. But much later in the game, it is most definitely a downgrade. So when I look at everyone's magic, there's no point in filling out the final level 7 spell here, or for the black mage, or excuse me, the black wizard, for the white wizard and black wizard. Respectively, these spells are completely optional. They do help in some ways, but they're not a full-on requirement. But one more thing I want to do before I forget is check the item shop. This town may not have one, I don't remember. But we're about to find out. No, I don't think it does. So, I'm going to be flying around the world. Excuse me. Completing a lot of different things. Mostly stocking up on very important consumable items. Because the very end of this game, the trials that await us do not play. So go ahead and fully stock up on your potions. Since we have tons of money and we don't have to worry about that, go ahead and get as much as you possibly can. This, in the long run, will help your white wizard and not have to waste magic. Because where we're going is not easy at all to leave from. Which is why it's super important to stock up. Alright, you're back at Cornelia. At this point, for those familiar with this game, you know what's about to happen. But for those who have never played, never watched any other Let's Play type videos from everyone else, and this is all brand new for you, you're about to find out. But as everyone, all of my returning viewers, subscribers, everyone first and foremost, thank you so much for tuning back in. I very much appreciate it. But you all will remember that this is the very start of the game. Cornelia. Well, they were very crafty in how they developed the rest of the game, how they intended for things to play out. So since Cornelia is the very start of the game and the Temple of Chaos was the very first dungeon, the Temple of Chaos is also the game's very last dungeon as well. And just like that, we're in a completely different area of the Temple of Chaos. And, as was just recently read, we are also in a completely different time era. I believe it said that we will travel 2,000 years into the past. So as trippy as that may seem, that is the case. And that is also one of the greater secrets to Final Fantasy 1. Right, in these 6,000, barely 6,000 experience required, so we'll be leveling up very easily from these types of fights, and it's very important. Very important. Okay, good. There is no need for Null Ice, but they cast, I believe it's called Blizzard, I think is the name of their special attack. And you don't really want to be subjected to its effects. Since there's 4 of them this time, I might not be able to avoid that, but we will see. Ice Storm, not Blizzard, Ice Storm. Doesn't do a lot of damage, as shown, but when you get in a fight against 4 of them, they have a particularly nasty habit of all 4 chaining Ice Storm one after the other. And that can become very devastating very fast. But as is being witnessed, a lot of experience is being earned. You just have to go through the motions, make sure to not forget to use the potions that you've purchased. Don't make the mistake of accidentally using magic, because here it is imperative. Out of the entire game, this final dungeon, it's where it is the most imperative that you don't waste magic. Certain fights like this one, yes, it's important. Make sure to, get Null Ice cast. Make sure to either use Fire 3 or Flare. These types of fights, yes, definitely use your magic. But for healing purposes, make sure to use your potions. And it's important to use magic on these types of fights for obvious reasons. To go ahead and cut through as many of the white dragons as you possibly can, as fast as you can. And rinse and repeat with healing. Do not, and I cannot stress this enough, do not let any of your spellcasters fall below 100 hit points of their max value. Don't do it. We're bringing in the experience and we're bringing in the gil. So the nice thing is, if we do run low, that already dropped from right over 6,000 down to barely 1,300 that quick. I think like, what, 3 fights? But the nice thing is, if we start running low on potions, we simply just need to use Warp 1 to return to the present time and buy some more. I'm going to try my best to not have any of these episodes be nothing but fighting. However, I also can't make that guarantee. I can't make that promise that they won't be. Because out of all the dungeons, this one is the most unpredictable. And it has deliberately been programmed to be the nastiest of all the dungeons. The boss encounters, for the first time ever, the actual boss encounters in this dungeon are also trigger points. So, just because we defeat each boss doesn't mean they're gone forever. This, I think the game will eventually explain it, so I don't really want to speak on this topic right now. I mean, it's not a huge spoiler or anything, but for me, my first time playing this and experiencing it, if I'm remembering things correctly, it was a very satisfying thing to learn myself. So, to be safe, I won't talk about it. But if it isn't covered in the game, if the game doesn't explain itself, then I will go into that detail myself and provide an explanation. But yes, since each of the boss encounters are located on a trigger point, if you make the mistake of walking backwards instead of going forwards to the next floor, you have to fight that boss all over again. This is why I'm focusing on leveling up. And it's also true that it's inevitable. We're going to have to warp out of here at some point. If for no other reason than to save progress. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you travel to the previous floor or if you completely leave the dungeon. Those bosses will be back each and every time. So again, this is why I stress the importance of go ahead and invest your time right here and right now to gain as many levels as possible, because it's not going to get any easier in this dungeon from this point forward. These are, believe it or not, the enemies being encountered right here are the easiest in this entire dungeon. And there's 4 floors, I can't remember. Either 4 or 5 floors in this dungeon. So yeah, when we're finally getting to the end, the very end, we won't want to have to level grind or need to level up. We will need to be in that place and the condition ready to take on the final story events. There won't be any time to attempt to prepare like we're doing now. I mean, you still can. You still can on the final floor, but you will be facing off against the strongest enemies in the entire game. So why put yourself through that? I mean, yeah, it's true. They will also give the most experience of the entire game, but it won't be as simple as these fights, where I'm simply restoring health after each fight. Those types of fights will be so difficult. I will be spending, or I would be spending, if we're not a high enough level, a good bit of time restoring health during the fight instead of simply after each fight. And that's always my approach. Always has been, always will be. It has nothing to do with me recording. It's always been my approach. I've learned the hard way in my very first time playing this game. Learned the hard way. And it's not worth it. It's really not. It's not worth being wiped out and having a game over. Especially if you haven't warped out of the dungeon and saved your progress. Because then you have everything to do over again. All of the levels that you have gained, you have to gain over again, and it's not worth it. But again, this is my own personal preference. I would rather invest the time up front and be ready for anything. I would rather something look too easy than barely survive, or in the worst case scenario, not survive. But there again, that's also the challenge, because I also do like to have somewhat of a challenge. I don't like it to be too easy, so that's the catch-22. You never really know how much to train, how many levels to gain. Especially in this part. You typically have a general rule of thumb at different points in the game, earlier in the game. But here, not so much. You don't have a predictable pattern. You don't have some type of landmark or threshold or whatever word you want to use. You don't have anything like that to be like, oh, okay, I'm good to, at this point, at this level, I will be good to start progressing. Except for the one tried and true thing that I've said in earlier recordings and episodes. Always look at the required experience for the next level. We're only somewhere in the 1000 experience range per fight right now, which means right now we'd have to get in about 20 fights just to level up. So at this point, it is safe to start venturing a little further into the dungeon. And yes, I also have notes for this section too. It's not that this dungeon is super sprawling, but it's nice to know where all the staircases are, because as is being witnessed, some of these fights can be rather brutal, especially if you get in a ton of fights back to back and you are nowhere near the next floor. So, according to my notes, I'm looking at it right now, the stairs to the next floor, then the bottom right corner. Stairs to the 4th floor are in the top right corner, and stairs to the, I think that's it, yeah, it's 5, to the 5th floor is the top left corner, and there's nothing in the bottom left corner, no stairs at all. And the 1st floor stairs lead to, I'm going to look close at my page. My writing's kind of old here, so bear with me just a second. Yeah, all these stairs meander throughout this dungeon, so you do have to pay attention where you're going, because like the 1st floor, the number 1 staircase, that's the only way to access the number 3 staircase. So if you don't do that, you completely miss a certain section of the dungeon. But for now, I'm going to bypass that. But it looks like, based on my notes, the 1st staircase to the 3rd staircase only leads to a floor. Oh no, to the back. I mean, I'm right in what I'm saying. The 3rd staircase only leads to a floor where, or a section of a floor where it's just money. And at this point in the game, that's pretty much pointless. But the 1st staircase leads to the 2nd staircase, which in turn leads to the same floor as the third staircase, but a different section as well. But that does continue the dungeon, I believe. Trying to get my bearings one more time. Really quick. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. Sorry that I kept it on the screen for so long, but my notes are that detailed. So the best way to go is into the top left corner. To the number 5 staircase. Now the numbers, I don't know if I have actually said this yet or not, but the numbers for the staircases aren't for each floor. That's not how they correspond. It's just there's that many staircases in this dungeon. There's only 4 floors. I remember now looking at my notes. There's only 4 floors, but there are about, I think, 10 different staircases, most of which lead to different sections of the same floor. But some of those stairs lead to dead ends that contain nothing. And again, I've learned that the hard way. So I'm trying not to show off pointless content. But since we're as low on potions as we are, I'm going to go ahead and stock up on more and do what I'm about to do after we come back. Yeah, like I said earlier, you do not want to run out of potions. So I'm definitely practicing what I've been preaching. What's also and always super nice is that you're a simple short airship flight away from Cornelia and restocking. And yes, be prepared for this to happen. Not a ton, but you will be seeing this process quite a bit. I'll try my best for it to not be a lot, but this is the quickest way to gain the final however many levels we need to level up. As I stated before, these are the strongest enemies in the game, and they give the most experience out of everything encountered in the game so far. Thankfully, since every enemy gives at least 1,000 experience, we are always guaranteed at least that amount. So the further we travel, the quicker we will be leveling up. And just like any other part of this game, a lot of fights are rinse and repeat. This type of fight in particular, it's kind of time consuming. But I will do what I can to speed up the fighting process as much as possible. But see, what takes so much time, well, of course, aside from this right here, but what takes so much time is that these white dragons, they hit hard, and they don't discriminate. Their Ice Storm ability is powerful, even with Null Ice in place. It can still pack a pretty mean punch. And you know, I may be eating my own words with what I had said earlier, Because while it's true that staircase 5 leads to where it does, I believe I'm starting to remember things correctly now. I believe that things have to play out in a certain order. And I'll show you once this fight is over. And check up on health really quick. Everybody looks good. Okay, so these right here block our path. And if I'm not mistaken, and if I remember correct, completing each floor, taking on the boss that waits on each floor. Gets rid of these barriers. I will definitely be testing that theory, but if I'm remembering correct, that is the requirement. As is with everything else in this game, I should have known that it wasn't going to be that easy, but that was almost 2,000 experience just from one fight. That's crazy. Okay. So that was staircase 1. And now there's 2 ways to go. There should be, yeah. There's a staircase here. But first we gotta take care of these dragon zombies. Definitely nice. As was just noticed, we earned a little over 2,300 experience from that one fight. So I think with each floor, it starts in the thousands range. So first floor starts off and somewhere in the 1,000 experience range. Floor 2 starts off somewhere in the 2,000 range, so forth and so on. But when you start receiving a ton of experience, the fights get really, really dangerous, and you really have to work for those higher amounts of experience. So here, we can't access the room in the middle, but the room in the middle has the number 3 staircase. So my old notes, it's not that they suck, but I think I left out that very small detail that you can't access it directly. Very small, but very important detail. Okay, so staircase number 2 is just taken, which has brought us to the top left corner of the same floor. I know that seems a little confusing, but We did not actually go up a floor, we just went to a different section of the same floor. And if I'm not mistaken, there's nothing of interest on this floor. No treasure, nothing of that nature. Well, yeah, well, yes and no. There's money, but no actual important treasure. Wow. The start of the 4,000 experience value, which is very, very nice. And as always, make sure to heal up after each fight. Do not be afraid to, using quotes, but overuse your potions. Okay, as stated earlier, you're bringing in a ton of gil. So going back to town and restocking on potions is not an issue. Look at that. Already dropped down to right under the 9,000 requirement. I believe last time I checked we were either 22 or 23,000, which is a huge drop. And around here should be a door. Yes, shield 2 is the most definitely important. It would definitely be nice if it could have been the very first action taken. But I'll take what I can get. Not too many more fights and we'll be leveling up again. There we go. That's the door I'm looking for. When in doubt, just use shield 2. You can never really go wrong with it. I'm not even mad that flare is only affecting one enemy. It's always a toss-up. But it doesn't matter now, because they did. And yes, many old enemy encounters resurface. So just be prepared. Be prepared to see some familiar faces. Okay. They're right here. Now, I might as well claim them. We're right here at them. 45,000 gil. $45,000 gil in the first treasure chest, and 65,000 in the second. And I do believe this is the first boss encounter. And it is. And just like last time, we need the, I believe it's the earth rod. Is it not? Maybe not. Well, let's see. Yeah, I get that. I know what the message. Okay, let's see. No, just a regular fight. At first I was thinking maybe it was a trigger encounter, but it was not. Alright, so that fight has been taken care of, and I could be in the completely wrong place right now. Oh, yeah. Wrong item. My bad. I thought it was the earth rod from the past, but it's actually the loot. And just like that, a ladder magically appears, and there we go. That was the third staircase seen earlier. For some reason I thought we were going into this room, not coming out of this room, but obviously I remembered wrong. Oops. So from the looks of things, of course there's no way to know the exact layout ahead of time. But get shield 2 put in place as always. And just go ahead and use their elemental weakness. If you're lucky, this will happen. And then this will happen, which will save you a little bit of magic from your white wizard. Which is definitely always nice when a fight can take that kind of unexpected turn. And we just leveled up, so now we need a little over 27,000 experience. Okay, so if I remember correctly, it's this direction. I don't think, double checking really quick, but I don't think there are any, no, there's no treasure on this floor, but there are zombie dragons. And yeah, as I've said before, a lot of this will be rinse and repeat. But I'm not going to subject everyone to just leveling up. I want to try to make it as far as I possibly can in this dungeon before we need to save progress, or before I need to save progress, I should say. And even if that means having to replace certain parts of this dungeon every now and then, I will. Don't want things to be too lengthy or too repetitive, but that's just the nature of this game. Some things you literally have no control over. It looks like this is a dead end. Yeah, I think so. Right before I got in this fight, it looked like I saw the bottom wall of this room. Yes, good old Final Fantasy 1 really makes you work for it and really makes you earn the ending of the game. It's not as simple as just walking right up to the final story elements. No. Nope. From a natural perspective, the final dungeon, I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase it. I don't really know if this is the true form, or if I should say it's the true form of the Temple of Chaos, or if this is simply, you know, the version of the Temple of Chaos that existed 2,000 years ago. Again, that's a story element that I believe is talked about at some point in the near future. Okay, 47 potions left. But yes, it's naturally time consuming. Naturally, I don't want to say that it wastes your time, but it's just naturally time consuming. There's no way around that. Now thankfully, thankfully you will gain a good bit of levels throughout this entire process. But it's just the process. It's just getting through it. You just have to dig deep and power through. And that's definitely where all these potions really shine. Because yes, I have been having to use, MP to cast things like Shield 2, but other than that, the White Wizard really hasn't been seeing much MP usage. The Black Wizard, on the other hand, most definitely has been. That staircase, if I'm looking at the right page of my notes, it's number 2. But you have to go, you have to do things in the right order. That's the key to it all. Yeah, you can access just about every floor in this area from more than one staircase, but only one staircase takes you on the correct path. That's why it's super important to know and to take notes. Not necessarily saying to follow my notes, but if you want to, then you definitely can. I'm not discouraging that. But that is completely each person's call in that regard. But what may play out differently, I haven't fully decided on this yet. This is actually something that I'm thinking about real time, and I may even go out of my own timeline with what I'm about to say, so I might actually include a special update on my channel. May this be a very short and sweet message, since this will be coming out, this episode right now will be coming out at a later date in the future. Everything will make sense in just a minute once I can get through this fight. Trying to gather my thoughts and focus on this fight all at the same time. But what I'm trying to say is that the final trailer that's at this point, when everyone is watching this, will have come out several days before this episode is being watched. So what I might do is, in addition to that trailer, I may provide an additional video. Might be me talking, may just be a bunch of on-screen text for everyone to read, but that special video will be a special update, and I will be asking for everyone's feedback. So that video is going to be very, very, very important. Like, super imperative that everyone who sees it actually give me feedback. Because right now, I'm having to phrase things in two different ways simply because I don't know how things will have played out. But I may do something I've never done in this project before. Just depends on how time consuming everything is. But if I get enough positive feedback from this, and everyone wants me to do this, I may, for the first time ever, begin each new episode not where the previous one ends. So the next episode after this one, which should be, I believe, episode 27, it may not begin right outside of Cornelia, where this very episode began. I may actually play through, replay this dungeon and get back to the point where we are going to end at in this episode. Well, not end at, I'll have to save the game, but point is, instead of me having to replay the entire dungeon, as far as everything we have already encountered, I'll start off right after having defeated the most recent boss. But like I say, I'll create a special video. Everybody can give me your feedback through that. Otherwise, if I don't do what I just previously said, then each episode going forward could easily progress by an extra hour. So by the time we get to the final episode, that could be like 3 or even 4 hours long. But only really have possibly 45 minutes, maybe an actual hour of new content. I don't think anyone wants to be subjected to that. Like I say, I will create a special video. Everyone sound off in the comment section of that, please. And let me know your thoughts. double check on my notes one more time because we should have encountered the boss either by now or any minute. But, and I hope the game isn't doing that weird glitch that I have experienced it do in the past. It's rare, but I have encountered it a few times, like more than once, like not more than 5 times, but I've definitely encountered it more than one time where you do everything you were supposed to do to trigger the next story event, but the game simply does not trigger that. And I really hope and pray that that did not just happen. Because that would more than suck. I mean, I'm gonna keep this footage, this recording and everything, but I just got to figure out what exactly just happened. Okay, so I think I did one thing wrong, but it won't take long to correct. But yes, you have to do this in the proper order, otherwise, as I just said, it will not trigger things correctly. Alright, so this staircase, after this fight, you take it, I'm just gonna power through this fight, not worry about wasting any magic, but it played out exactly as I hoped that it would. And I thought it was the floor we were just on we do this at, but it's not. This is this one. It is this one. Alright, so it looks like, okay, yeah, this should bypass the barricades that have been in place. And I also could be wrong about that. Nothing may be removed after the defeat of each boss. It may just be a long trick in a general sense. That's why I won't reiterate everything that's been said. But that's why a special video will have been created in the past. And yes, it does really feel weird talking like this. I'm having to remember how to phrase things correctly. But okay, yeah. Yep. This is right between everything. So yes, please. It's beyond important that everyone sound off in that special video. Let me know your thoughts, but most importantly, let me know what you're in favor of. I mean, realistically, personally, if I were simply subscribed to somebody and was watching their content, I wouldn't want to watch 3 or 4 hours worth of a single episode only to have the final 45 minutes of that episode be new content. I'd be like, yeah, do what you gotta do. I don't mind. I don't mind the game. You know, the recording and everything. I don't mind that picking up where new content is going to begin, because that's all I would ever do. I would never actually play into the future of the game and have anyone miss anything. Not at all. You never have that to worry about. Because the thing is, all I'm trying to do is spare you. Look at, I'm going to have to replay all this, regardless, after each save. I'm just trying to save y'all's time. Good old Nomas, and they're back. They don't really pose much of a threat. The only drawback to if I do this is I may possibly gain a level or two between recordings, before the actual next episode begins. But that would be the only difference. We're right in the 600 to 700 required experience to level up. That would literally be the only difference. No one would miss any other content aside from who knows how many random encounters. Story content, all the actual important stuff in the game, you would still see. And this is the main catch-22 with this game. The very final dungeon, and I'd completely forgotten about this, I really had, but the very final dungeon actually prevents, for recording purposes and other people watching, it prevents straight continuity. Because realistically, overall, this could take me a good 6 hours. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to subject myself to that. I'm not going to sit here and play a good literal 6 hours. I wouldn't do that. And I wouldn't expect any of you to try to watch something like that in one sitting. Heck, I wouldn't even expect anybody to have the attention span to attempt that. Even if you paused this and came back to it over the course of however many days it took to watch it, I wouldn't blame anybody if they didn't come back to finish. You know, I mean, that's a special kind of torture. I wouldn't want to do it. Just being candid, right now, right here, right now, I would not want to do that. No matter how much I enjoyed whoever it was that I was watching and subscribed to. I'm like, I love you, dude, but no. You can't do it. Alright, and it looks like... I'm gonna look at my notes one more time. Sorry I wasn't talking on that. I caught that at the very end that I hadn't been saying anything, so... No, there were no issues with the recording. It was just me forgetting to talk while I looked at my notes. But yes, I believe that staircase is the trigger point for the very first boss. But I'm going to check out this room right over here. That we are close to. See what's in it, if anything. Okay, so this is the main room. We don't have any purpose being here yet. But after completing future story elements, we will be returning to this room. But it doesn't serve a purpose in the here and now. Good grief, over 100 hit points of damage. Very nice. It's a level up. Alright, I think there's 2 doors, may only be 1. Just 1. Alright. So after this fight, and without further ado, I will be getting us into this boss fight, finally. But look, it's taken a year and a day to get to this point, but we're finally here. Well, in just a minute. We're finally here. And surprise! It's Leech. All over again. New and improved. It's stronger, but let's see if I have overpowered myself. Oh wow, okay, saving or just attack right away and yep, that's sad. That's sad. I was just joking. About saying that about being overpowered. I was well, whatever. Whatever. Now, as having been said, this point, if I were to step to the left and then back where I'm standing right now, I'd fight Leech again. But I'm not doing that. If I progress forward, this is to a whole another section of the dungeon. But since we are well into the hour mark, I'm not gonna do that either. Not gonna do that either. I'm gonna warp out of here. Actual warp 2. But what's nice though, what's really nice is now that Leech has been defeated for the very first time, it's a straightforward shot. I will still have a little bit to, a little bit of retracing of my steps to do each time, but the special requirements, the special ways to walk around certain rooms to unlock certain, triggers and everything. For the first section, that has been taken care of. I don't have to do. So I have helped myself out in that regard. So it shouldn't take me very long. Now, again, I will wait. Normally, under normal circumstances, I dive right back into the very next episode right away. But this time, I'm going to take a break. This episode and the next episode may have a day's difference in them, may have a little bit longer, but I'm going to get feedback from everybody first. I'm going to get that special, well, not get, but that special video will be on my channel. I seriously need everyone, definitely all my subscribers, to sound off in the comments. Let me know. Let me know what you think, what you want me to do. But regardless, this episode will have a temporary break taken after it, so that I know how to play things. Because if no one is in favor of everything I have said, and you all would like for me to push through and to complete the entire final dungeon in one sitting, I will attempt to do that. Just know that it would take me like real time, a good portion of an entire real day to do so. Also know that would be a super long episode. And lastly, that would result in the end part, the final part, the finale of this game and this project only being 2 episodes long. So just bear all that in mind. I am more than willing to do whatever most of y'all want me to do, but just keep all those things in mind. And if you need to, go back a little bit, just a few seconds, about a minute, whatever amount of time has passed since I listed those 3 factors, and listen to those 3 things as many times as you need to for it to, sink in, make proper sense. Because this is an important request that I'm making of everyone, and an important decision that you all need to make. So this sign off is going to be different from the others in the past. I will be taking a break, and I will wait to see what that special video's results show me. Based on those results, based on what everybody has to say, what you all leave in the comments, will determine how everything moving forward plays out. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing and reading everyone's feedback, and I will catch y'all in the very next episode, whenever that may be. LP Guru, signing out.